Hey guys, welcome back to the Don't Settle Squad podcast, episode 59, a better approach to your fitness goals this year. All the motivation but no plan won't get you very far, so in this episode I'll show you how I plan out my fitness goals for myself and clients. So we're into 2025 now. I'm recording this on Friday, so you'll be hearing it in a few days' time. So first week back up in Dublin now. I spent Christmas back in Roscommon with my family. So first week back up into routine. I was saying that on Instagram that, Jesus Christ, I got sick over Christmas from a night out, and I was rehabbing an injury as well. So for the first time in years, I don't know how long, for the first time I took 2 weeks off training and my routine. And holy Lord, I was even saying that to one of the jiu-jitsu coaches yesterday. I was like, how do people live like this? How do people do it? I don't know, because no one's enjoying life that way when you're just on, there's only so much Netflix you can watch, only so many movies you can watch. You need some passion, some purpose, some routine. At least, that's what I figured out through my own journey years ago, and everyone seems to be the same as well. I think as humans, we're all a lot more alike than we think. So delighted to be back into my routine, back training, and feeling much better. So started back strength training Monday, was weak as fuck, which was disheartening, obviously, but that's what you have to do when you're coming back from injury and sickness and things like that. And I've done 3 jiu-jitsu sessions. So I did jiu-jitsu on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, which was yesterday. And today I might be doing a bit of kickboxing with my friends up the road. If he's not available, I'm just going to go and do some light cardio. And I'm looking to get back to do jiu-jitsu maybe 4 times a week. But just listening to my body, I've done 3 sessions now and the gym session. Body's a bit sore. I'm looking at this from a long-term perspective, which you'll even see in one of today's points. So that's where we're at now. Any other news? Oh yes, if you're looking on YouTube, a little reminder for you, just in case you forget. So for those on Spotify, got some Don't Settle gear, Don't Settle Squad gear. It only took me 5 years, but better late than never. So it's actually from buying some of the jiu-jitsu gear in our club, Brazier Jiu-Jitsu, and I bought the hoodie and the rash guard, and I was just asking, where did you actually get this gear? Because I was trying to get gear for a while before, and I couldn't seem to get it, a good supplier or whatever. I didn't put that much effort into it now, but then I got the number off him and contacted him before the end of last year and was over and back for a little bit. And I've got a jumper here, so it's very simple. I basically was like, just give me the same jumper, but put Don't Settle on the front instead of the Brazier Jiu-Jitsu. Sorry about that, roommates unexpectedly came in there. So I was just saying, that we got the Don't Settle Squad gear. So we have the jumper, you'll be able to see it on YouTube. Basic enough, just don't settle on the front. And it's actually a guy who didn't settle on the back, but the feckin' hoodie covers it. So the hoodie's actually in the way. If I move the hoodie, it's just the Instagram handle on the back. It doesn't matter so much for the hoodie, but I got a tank top to wear in the gym. So I can be a bit of a walking billboard as well. If people are interested in the type of training that I'm doing, they'll see the Instagram handle, and then they can check out the Instagram from there. So I suppose the point here, maybe I'll do a podcast on this next week, just about at some stage in your life you have to start being your own hero. You look up to other people for a long time, like let's say with my training gear, I've been wearing Jocko Willink's gear probably 4 years now. So if you follow my content on Instagram, you would have seen it. I wear pretty much most training sessions. It's the discipline equals freedom on the front, and then his other top which just says get after it. They're the 2 tank tops I switch between on my upper body days, and I remember buying them at the time that I committed to getting the 1-arm chin up and handstand push up, because I was like, I just want these little reminders every time I put it on of what I need to follow, that discipline equals freedom. If I'm disciplined enough in my training, I'm going to get the physical freedom I want, I'm going to get the freedom of the strength that I want, etc. So wore them for years, really inspired me, like Jocko's message, and that's what I'm trying to give out to people as well. Inspire people, show them that you don't get what you deserve, you get what you settle for. Coming from my chronic pain story to the things that I'm doing now, getting back to sports I love and doing things I didn't, was told were literally impossible. So that's what I'll get now when I put on the jumper. This is more for working at home, but when I put on the top, that's what I'm going to see in the mirror of Don't Settle, and I'll probably get a few other ones as well. So maybe we'll do a little podcast around that kind of stuff. So to get into today's one then, like we're saying, better approach to your fitness goals this year. Because look, use January as the time to change things. Everyone's a bit more motivated in January. That's fine. Don't don't push it down by saying, oh, why am I demotivated all the time? Like, just forget about all that. Use what you're given here. It's a bit of a fresh start in January, but, we want to do things a bit smarter this time rather than resetting every year. So to show you the way I go about setting goals for myself and clients, we'll just break it into 3 little steps here. So first one, we need to decide on your priorities. Because you hear all these things about optimal training this, optimal training that. Optimal for who? Optimal for what? Like, it's all down to you at the end of the day. It's your body, it's your life. What do you want to do with it? What do you want to get better at? So that's what we want to figure out first. What is it that you want to do in terms of your fitness? And it's not about anyone else, about your friends, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your family. What do you want to do? Because you want to have no regrets over this. And the bigger why that you have behind it, you're going to stick to it much better. And that point's very important because it was only last week there's the Physical Freedom membership, which I would have been talking about. That's live now. And with the guys in there, I have a group call once a week. So just last Tuesday, I had that chat with one of the guys. So with Liam, who was saying, he'd actually worked with me previously and we got him back to playing soccer because he wasn't able to play soccer with his injuries and stuff. And then over Christmas and whatever else, he'd finished up with me and he dropped off and things like that. That's why he's back on the membership for the bit of accountability. And that's normal. That, look, yeah, he can't play football right now, and then he's wondering, does he want to do the rehab to get back there again? And that's exactly what we're talking about here. You need to actually sit down and think, what is your priorities? Just because it was a priority for the younger version of you doesn't necessarily mean you want to do it now. Same as me. That's why we were chatting a lot about the soccer. Maybe I thought I was going to be a soccer player. Soccer was my life till I was about 18. But I don't play soccer at all anymore. Like, I don't have the passion for it that I did before. So there's no point in me forcing myself to play soccer or playing soccer because I'm pretty good. Let's say if I played 5-a-side with my friends, I'd be the best there. For my ego, we'll say. But like, those things don't interest me anymore. Just stroking my ego or just playing a sport that, it took a lot of time to get good at it, and I'm good at it in general terms. But I mean, I'd rather learn something new. That's why I chose jiu-jitsu all those years ago when I sat down and thought about this. Like I'm telling you now, what actually interests me right now? It doesn't matter what I've done before. Like, it's called the sunk cost fallacy, where you've put so much time and effort into something that you think it's going to be a waste now if I don't keep doing that. That's, again, it's just mental frames and your own psychology holding you back. So I realised, look, I don't want to play soccer anymore. So why am I still playing it? And that's when I started looking at the sparks. What am I kind of interested in? Oh, that stuff on the ground jiu-jitsu looks kind of cool. I'm going to try it. And the passion went from there. 6-7 years now later, I'm purple belt in it. So, and I'm loving that. Still very interested in that. So that's what you need to sit down and think. What do you actually want to do? It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. It doesn't even matter what the previous versions of you thought. It's the version of you right now. What is it that you want to do in terms of your sport? And maybe there's no sport. Maybe it's just a gym. That's cool. The second point then, we want to break it down into categories. So for my own training, I break it into mobility, strength and cardio, and then martial arts, or you could say your sport. Okay, so mobility, strength, cardio, that's for everyone, and then you can pick like martial arts or your sport. And I love that model because you'll triage it. Like, you'll see what's the most important one to focus on. Like, for example, let's say you're coming back from chronic pain and injury. What's going to be the most, like, mobility will probably be the one that you're focusing most on there, around the injuries, and then slowly working back into strength. And you could be doing a bit of cardio as well if it's not hurting the injury. So like, it really depends where your body's at, your experience levels with training, all these other things. But it's very handy just to break it into those three, because those three things are needed. I could break it into two parts. Just for, let's say, the everyday person doesn't care too much about performance, just wants to live a long, healthy life. Those things are needed. Mobility, because physical freedom, your body's your vehicle for life. If you don't look after that, you get chronic pain and injury. It's going to affect sports if you play them, and if not, it'll affect your daily life. So that's number one, your physical freedom, because your body's your vehicle for sport and life. Then on to strength and cardio, like I talked about recently enough on Instagram over the last few weeks. Strength and cardio are the two biggest things in your control that you can focus on to live a long and healthy life. Like, this is proven. And the stats were mad enough. I think getting to elite levels in strength was like 500% reduction in all-cause mortality across all things at all points in your life. No, sorry, the strength was 300%. The cardio was 500%. So, yeah, there you go. Just if you want to live a just kind of normal, healthy life, you need some mobility, strength, cardio. And then if you want to even perform to the best of your ability, reach your athletic potential in your sports, etc., you need those three things as well. Like, if you're limited by your movements, you can't let out your full potential. if you're not strong, like even take jiu-jitsu, if you have the same technique and skill level as someone else, but they're way stronger than you, they're probably going to beat you. And same with cardio. If you have the same technique as someone else, but their cardio is way better, they're going to outlast you. So again, mobility, strength, cardio, they're the things you need to be working on. And then outside of that, like I said, you know, if it's any sort of sports or martial arts, you need to decide what it is that you want to do. So you can break it up into those. And the point there, it said on the injuries, like if you were injured, the framework doesn't change because rehab is actually just scaled training. So like I'll say that again. So rehab, it's actually just a scaled down version of training. And that's a big problem with the older type of rehab where you're just doing these little flicky-dicky things with a band or your body weight, and that's it. And then you try to jump back to sport. Like, no. Yeah, maybe you have to start off with some of those things, but it should be gradually increasing the volume, intensity of your training and working back up to where you were and going beyond that to prepare your body for the demands of sport. So if you were training up here in strength, rehab is just a scaled version of that. You just drop it down as much as you need to do it pain-free, and you keep training there. You don't just drop off and rest on the couch and let everything waste away and get weaker. So that's number 2. I'm breaking it into the categories. And number 3 then, focus on long-term domination over short-term gratification. So I think I'd said that at the start, just in terms of my own journey. Like I'm a week back now after the sickness and the kind of AC joint injury, which wasn't a big one, but yeah, I couldn't do a push-up at one stage just before Christmas. So did the 2 weeks of rehab while I was off. Got back this week, you know, trained once in strength so far, 3 jiu-jitsu, and I can feel it a little bit. The Tuesday, Wednesday jiu-jitsu was okay. A bit of a hard round yesterday. I can feel it a little bit, but like it's fine, but I'm just aware of it. And that's why I'm not going back to jiu-jitsu again today, because today is fight night where it's just sparring. So that wouldn't be a good idea. And the point here is, like, you could think of this question: if I train this way, just take your week now and like your thought process, how many times you trained, etc. Take that week and extrapolate it out across the full year and ask yourself, if I took this approach for the next 51 weeks, how is that going to go? There's your answer. That will help you focus on the long-term domination over the short-term gratification. Because what do I want to do? I wanted to go to jiu-jitsu today, or I want to train hard. Like I have that most people do who want to reach their potential. I have that fire in me. I just want to go balls to the wall and train all the time. But I know that doesn't work out from my own journey and all the injuries that I've accumulated over the years from the soccer, etc. I have to be cognizant of this, listen to my body, you know, prioritize my physical freedom, because let's say if I went to that jiu-jitsu session today, I could do it. Like I literally could do it and I could do all the rolls or whatever, but I know tomorrow this will probably have gone backwards again. My AC joint, little issue. My neck's a small bit sore, just again from getting back into jiu-jitsu. Some nerve stuff going on there. Like, I wouldn't be able to sustain this. I wouldn't be able to do that for the next probably 4 or 5 weeks in a row, 6 weeks. Because, you know, things haven't fully rehabbed and whatever. I haven't built back up the capacity after being a little bit sick. So that's ego. And that's the point here that I tell myself, I tell clients, like, check the ego. I say it so many times, like, play the long game, check the ego. You just need these like maxims or these little catchy quotes to remind yourself of a good strategy. And that's what's number 1 right here. Don't settle. That's the ground zero for anything, because your attitude is the foundation. If you don't have a good attitude, don't have a don't settle attitude that's going to be resilient, forget about all the rest of it. So that's number 1. Not going to forget that now. I'm getting ready to train or whatever. I'll see it in the mirror. Don't settle. There we go. But the other ones, check the ego. Play the long game. Like, these are ones that are going to get you the progress that you want. Like, I would have trained before, 10 years in the gym, training a bit, getting injured, follow my ego, trying to lift what my friends are doing. Never got any sustainable progress. Never got any notable progress at all, because it's just like this all the time. Whereas if you actually check the ego, went down, focused on physical freedom, on the basics, do it properly, over the years, you're going to be outstripping everyone that's sticking to this old strategy. So again, that's the line from Jocko, actually. Focus on the long-term domination over the short-term gratification. That's why the catchy ones are great. I've never forgotten it, and I only heard it once. And why it's great? Because if you actually go into the science of learning, what is learning? It's getting an idea from your head into somebody else's head in the easiest way possible, so simple words, and in a way that's going to stick and that they'll remember in the easiest way too. And that's why quotes and things that rhyme are great. So That's why that's perfect. Focus on the long-term domination over the short-term gratification. You're going to remember that much better than if I read out a paragraph with very articulate wording about why you shouldn't give in to your ego. Okay, so there you go. Long-term domination over short-term gratification. How do we do that? We think of playing the long game. Could I do this sustainably for the next 51 weeks? And we check the ego as well. Because if you don't check the ego will become the enemy. Like it has many times for me. I really struggled with that in terms of training, like I said. That's why I keep saying it here. A lot of this is reminding myself of what I need to do. But I'd written down Mark here, client example, because it's quite a funny one. Like, you would be surprised how many people suffer with a bit of chronic pain or just get certain niggly injuries from just pushing too hard in the gym. Like, these are people now who may not have loads of old injuries. They're just like one or two parts of their body just seems to keep getting kind of overloaded. And that example was a client before called Mark who was telling me something like, his hamstrings are always fried. Like, after the gym, the hamstrings would be fried, and he was trying to do jiu-jitsu and stuff, but like finding it tough to move his legs because his hamstring would be so sore, like both his hamstrings, and like it wasn't an injury. He could still train, but again, he was very limited. And like just through chatting through it, like, oh, okay, what are you doing? You're doing things like RDLs, cool. How long have you done them? What's your experience with them? How many times you train them each week? After each session, or like during it, what's the intensity level? Like, what's the pain like after? And like just all these things. And then I just, like, the black and white answer then from finding out all the information, I was like, Mark, you're just lifting way more than you should be lifting, like. Like, this is basically just ego. Like, you're not ready for that weight at all. Like, you're just lifting way too heavy right now. You didn't work up to it properly like you did in other things, like you could do a handstand push-up. So, and then, like, look, he took on the advice, checked the ego. Sometimes you need a coach to tell you these things. Like, that's what I got as well. It's hard to kind of realize this on your own. Nobody wants to walk into the gym and go from like 100 kg on the bar and put it down to 50, with everyone else there, your friends are like, no one wants to do that, but it can be easier if a coach tells you to do it. And that's what he did. He massively reduced the weight, and lo and behold, the issue went away. So that's why sometimes it can be as simple as that your ego's getting in the way, and you need to drop the weights massively and slowly chase the small gains. That's another maxim that I have, instead of focusing on taking these big jumps and leaps forward. And what was the last point I had on that? Yeah, that I'm back there again. Like, I had a post on this a few days ago, where I put in me doing like one-arm chin-ups, or close to one-arm chin-ups, and doing a freestanding handstand push-up, and then the next clip is me like just trying to bend my knee on the floor and just trying to do a push-up on a table. Like, so I've been at the highs and I've been back down to the lows again, and I have to follow exactly all these things I'm telling you now. I have to, like, when I go to the gym for the next session, in my mind, I'd be like, I should be doing weighted chin-ups with like 20 or 25 kg for sets and reps, just like I was a bit before Christmas. But what am I going to have to do? I'm going to go in there and put on 5 kg, just like I did 2 days ago or 3 days ago, and do the reps. And, part of my ego is like, fuck's sake, like, what is going on here? Should be way ahead. Should have got the one-arm chin-up by now, haven't got. Like, all these things is just ego. I don't, like, and if you dive into it all, you'll find a lot of the time you don't even care that much about it. Like, going through all that, that's what led me to learning my physical freedom was the most important. Which would I rather have? A 40 kg chin-up, which I haven't got. I got up to 35 many times and got some sort of injury and kind of back down like what's happening now. Would I rather get that 40 or 50 kg chin-up? Or would I rather have physical freedom to live my life pain-free and to do things like jiu-jitsu? Simple answer. So it's just to remind yourself of these things. If you even sit down, maybe even write it down, to just try and remove the ego. It's tough to do, but to try and check the ego and to train in a way that's going to be sustainable. And even now they're at the start of the year, like what I'm doing mentally is I'm thinking over the whole year now. So you're basically resetting your expectations. So, I can't remember who said it, but someone had a quick equation like happiness equals your expectations minus reality. So if you have massive expectations, reality's here, you're going to be unhappy. If you have really low expectations and life is up here, you'll be a bit happier. So wouldn't fully agree with it exactly, but there's definitely something to it. Like when we're checking the ego, we're also lowering those expectations. If I'm like, 40 kg chin up and I'm doing 5, I'm always going to be a bit frustrated. Whereas if I check the ego, realize where I'm at, I'm expecting to do the 5, push up to 10 maybe in a week or two. That's roughly what's going to happen, okay? And the frustration's going to go way down. So yeah, there we go. 3 points. Decide on your priorities. Break it down into the categories with the mobility, strength, cardio, martial arts and the sport. And then third one, you have to train yourself to do this. So train yourself to focus on the long-term domination over the short-term gratification. And by doing that, that's where you actually hit those big goals over time, over years. None of this good stuff happens in weeks or months. It's over years. Cool. So finishing up then, we got the Physical Freedom Program. So if you do need more guidance on it, Physical Freedom Program is there. 2 different avenues if you want to go the membership route for the price of a few pints. You'll get the self-guided route in there. So there's programs, starting all the way back from rehab. So if you do have chronic pain and injury, you want to overcome that this year, the programs are all there. So there's all self-guided programs there, all the way up to strength and conditioning ones as well. So you can jump in there, or you can start on the more physical freedom stuff. And then there's basic S&C and up to elite S&C programs in there as well. So if you need more guidance on it, you can sign up to that, the cheaper route, and there's a group call every Tuesday at 1 p.m. where you can ask me any questions that you want. And the second route then is obviously the one-to-one. So that's unlimited access. That's when I'm working with clients on a daily basis to reach their goals, whether it is overcoming chronic pain and injury or all the way up to like reaching their athletic potential in their chosen sport. Voice is going again a little bit. We're basically finished now. Yes, last thing that I should be saying on this, which, I don't really say these things, but I should be saying them to help grow the podcast, to get out to more people. So if you're listening to this one on Spotify, follow and rate the podcast. So if you want to support it, look, I'm big on like value. You shouldn't give something if it's not earned. Like, I believe in all those things. So if you've come this far, you rate the podcast, obviously, like you're getting some sort of value from it. So if you appreciate that from me and you want to give something back, just follow it. That's it. So just follow the podcast and rate it. So the rating actually takes 2 seconds. I can do it myself, but again, look, I believe I'm not going to rate my own podcast, for example, but I just wanted to see, like, you literally have to click on the rating once and then you click the star and that's it. So whatever, I think there's nine reviews there at the minute. So yeah, that's it. Look, if you're getting value from it, just to put it back, just follow it, rate the podcast. There you go. That's your bit done. And however the algorithms work, this will help get it out to more people. And then if you're watching it on YouTube, you could do the same, or else you could just subscribe on the YouTube channel. So that's it. We'll talk to you next week. So don't settle, live true to yourself. And yeah, we'll talk to you next week.